Hi, all right, so with this tutorial we're going to take Breakout and turn it into Invaders. Now we're not going to be reusing really any assets because we are now going to transform, or we're now going to start using some slightly more detailed custom assets. Um, in your raster image editing program of choice, I want you to make some invader, like the old Space Invaders ship kinds of things. Make it a good size. I'm doing a 600 by 600 image here, pixels. And then what I did was I just zoomed in grabbed my pencil brush at 1 pixel so that I have, let's go, so that I have, I'm painting essentially pixel art here. And then just make some alien looking guys any way you want. Oops. Forget to turn your so make these however you want them to be. It's really, excuse me, totally up to you. Let's keep that there. So once you've got them this big down here, you can then select them, cut it off that image it is, so it's its own selection. Hit Command or Control T for transform. Make sure that your interpolation is at nearest neighbor. Zoom out, and then just pull up and get them big. You want to kind of make sure that your scales are all the same for each of them. So I have already set up guides for each of my, for the scale of each of my things. Sort of see it here. Pull out just a little bit more, and I'm going to pull a midline guide here too. So if I turn on all the rest, we'll be able to see that I've got these other. And then this one. So these are my sprites essentially. Save this file as a PSD or a JPEG. It doesn't, or a PNG. PSD is fine. Unity can cope with that. So you can save it as a PSD. Just make sure you save it in your Unity file. You can see I've got it here. When I come back into my sprites folder under Invaders, I've got a folder set up called Invaders where I've been saving that PSD. Then you just gotta slice it like a sprite, so change the texture type to sprite, sprite mode to multiple. Now this pixels to units. This is 600 pixels, so this would make it 6 units, which is pretty big. I'm going to go 200 so that it's 3 units. We're going to go uncompressed because it is so small, it doesn't really matter. Just hit apply, and then open up your sprite editor. We're going to slice, and it's sliced really well. That guy's a little shorter than the rest, but that's fine. Just hit apply, close your sprite editor, and you should have a bunch of individual sprites now. And then I'm just going to rename, I can't rename it right now. Drag your Invaders 2 in here, and then when it's in here, you should be able to just rename it into player, which is what I want. Once that's renamed, you can then move it kind of wherever you want it to be. I'm going to stick it right there. I am going to add then, let's go with a box collider on it. You could do a mesh collider or an edge collider, which gives you, take off the box collider here. If we scroll down, mesh collider is no, it's not doing what I want it to do, so let's take another look. Try polygon collider. This will let you sort of edit kind of where those polygons are if you wanted to kind of match exactly what it is. That is not always the best idea. This is really handy, but it's going to get messed up there. Okay. This is really handy for complex things. But for our guy here, I think what we're going to do is just stick with the normal polygon collider here. So that's close enough. I don't want to mess too much more with it. Okay, that's fine. For our purposes, it'll actually look and feel better than having a more accurate, I put accurate in scare quotes, but accurate collider. So, all right, I'm also going to change this color because I can't stand it. Let's go something dark. It's supposed to be space after all. Okay, so you've got your player and your main camera in there. You can then grab your other invaders. Oh, no animations. You can pop these guys in here if you want to, just to sort of get a sense of size. That size looks pretty good, actually. I think that was kind of right on. And there, so it's okay. These all look pretty good. You're going to want to make sure that they all have colliders on them. So probably just either a box, let's just do box colliders. Let's keep it simple. Box colliders. Okay, so we've got our box colliders. We're going to be writing a script that will auto-populate all of these guys anyway, so it's not super important that you position them correctly or anything right now. We will be doing that programmatically. So here we go. Okay, let's move these guys up just so that we can look at them. Okay, so once you have this done, let's take a look at some scripts. Now with Invaders, there are kind of a lot more scripts that we need to worry about. Oh, there is probably one more asset we should do that I kind of forgot about. The bullet. We could use one of the Pong sprites for that, actually. We'll just use this Pong sprite for the bullet. So there is an asset for just the bullet. Let's use this guy for the bullet. We'll just scale it down. That looks pretty good. Oops. Again, it doesn't really matter where you stick this right now. Excuse me. We're just doing this for size comparison. And change the name. Bullet. Okay. All right. So we're going to want to write a bullet script. This is our bullet script. Variable speed float. I'm just setting a speed at the very beginning. It's 10. Function update every frame. Transform the position of y equals speed times time.delta time. Again, that's that CPU clock. Function on trigger enter. Now we do need to change these to 2D function on trigger enters. Ooh, sorry about that. Collider 2D. Feather game object at tag equals enemy. Then we're going to stick in debug log so that it prints to the console every time it hits an enemy, just so we can double check. We're going to destroy that game object. You can just hit destroy game object, or if you want to be a little more specific, other.game object. Else if other.game object is the top wall. Again, those are those top walls, those walls that we set up before. Destroy, excuse me, destroy this game object. So if the bullet does hit, if the bullet does hit that top wall that we still need to set up, then it will destroy itself, which is important. It's what we want to happen. Why is my camera being so funky? Oh, because yeah, I'm just going to change to ortho. Make it a little easier to deal with. Okay. 2 units across. Okay, so set up set up an empty game object, top wall. It's really the only one you need to worry about, top wall. You don't need a game object for, we don't need walls for the sides or the bottoms, the movement, these sort of invader-ish side shuffle we're going to handle programmatically. You could set up well, I'll show you. We will set up actually little let's scale it this way. Remember, it's 2 units. Position, let's go 0, 0. And then we will, is it half a unit tall? Okay. That's the problem. There we go. Top wall. So then we can go up. Let's go 5. Nope. 1. Ah, I see 5. Yeah, okay. 5. Should be the top of our camera. It's close. 6 actually the top of our camera. Okay. Let's make our scale 20. And then we can duplicate that guy. Again, we don't need a bottom wall, but we will do a left wall. Let's go wall, left wall, top. Let's kind of move it where -6. And then we will rotate it 90 degrees along our z-axis. So yeah, actually make it 0 on the y. And then make it 10 in the x. Rotation. Okay, that'll just keep, and you can scale that down. That will keep our character from sliding off the edge of the screen there. Just duplicate that and move it to -6 or -10 and -2. Okay, so once we have those set up, so essentially those are the colliders we need. You know, this will keep our guy from moving back and forth, and then this will let our invaders sort of ticker down, ticker down, and that's all handled programmatically. This top wall will handle destroying the bullets, so it's essentially cleaning up the bullets if they get past the invaders, and so that they're not just flying off into infinity and using up valuable CPU power. Sorry, I have a cough. Okay, so let's do our enemy movement first. So bring up your editor of choice, create a new document here. If you're using syntax highlighting, make sure your syntax highlighting is appropriate. If you're in monodevelop, you know, just create a new monodevelop document. This is going to be our enemy movement document, so actually, you know what? Do it in here. Create new JavaScript. And then we'll call this enemy move. This is just going to be a copy of enemy movement that I already got in here. All right, so enemy move. Okay. We're going to use some of this stuff, so we'll just keep it. So variable direction is an integer 1. So we need to set up some variable called direction. Let's actually do our movement stuff first before we get too into it. So under function update, because this is going to happen every turn, if transform dot position dot x is equal to 15. Actually, let's go 9 because our distance is 10 for ours. Vertical move is true. Vertical move is a variable that we're going to set up here in a sec. direction equals -1. So it's going to go in the opposite direction once it hits 9 units, once its position hits 9 units. All right, and then we'll do if for the other direction, transform dot position dot x equals -9. Then vertical move equals true. This will move it in the y direction equals 1. So now it is moving in a positive direction. Come back up here and set up a private variable vertical move. It's a Boolean. So it's gonna be either true or false. Set it up as false. There's our direction variable that we needed. So all of this, the way it's set up now, we're not going to put anything in start yet, but we will here in a sec. What this is going to do is it's going to check to see if the movement, the movement on that unit is 9, is at the value of 9, and if it is, then it's going to move it down 1. And I'll show you. We'll set up how that happens here in a sec. If it's -9, then it will move it, or I'm sorry, yeah, it'll move it down 1 and then make it go the other direction. So let's come up to our start. We need to set up a while statement. So while this is true, if vertical move, so if vertical move is true, we're going to transform the position dot y, so the y position. We're going to take the value of whatever the y position is and then add -1 to it. So it's going to move it down. We're going to then yield wait for seconds. This is just going to make it wait for a few seconds, so it'll pause. It's going to be speed. We'll set up a speed variable here in a sec. Then we'll do vertical move is now false. Transform position dot x is the direction. Yield wait for seconds speed. So this is going to give us that little pause, that little move, pause, move, pause, move, pause that you associate with Invaders, or at least that I associate with Invaders. So then now we need to set up, let's go static variable. You can't just take in variable too, but static is a little more specific. Float equals, and this I'm just sort of guessing at the value for this, but we're just set it at 0.3. This is for that that speed variable for the wait for seconds. I think 0.3 seconds is more than enough. All right, so got that set up. If the next thing, well, no, I think this is enough for now. Let's save that. We should see, come back into Unity. Should all be fine. If you want to, you can now add that to your Invaders play. Should see them tick, 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 tick. Oh, and they're not going down. Okay, so we've got our first bug. So just watch that value. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, because it's never exactly 9, because they're not starting off at the 0 mark on x. So make sure all your values here are zeroed out. If you have any kind of decimal in there, it's going to mess up. And since we're going to be throwing these guys in here, so let's go 3, 2, 1. Okay. Should work now. There we go. Cool. All right, that's what we want. That is the movement we are looking for. So the next thing we need to do is set up kind of a spawner, I guess. How are we gonna get these guys in here? How are we gonna spawn our enemies? In order to be able to instantiate all of these prefabs, these different, a random sprite for one of these invaders, we need to use what's called an array. An array is just a container. It's just a certain number of objects or a certain number of things that you want to hold into a container in order to affect programmatically. So you're going to set up a container called variable prefabs.gameObject. Now what makes it a container are these square brackets right here. And it's very important that you include these square brackets. If you don't, this isn't going to work. So variable prefabs of type gameObjects array. Function start for variable y, it equals 3. If y is less than 4, add 1 to y. And then for variable x, if it is negative 3, or x equals negative 3, if x is less than 4, add 1 to x. This is going to spawn all of these guys in a line. So it's going to spawn about 6 of them, and then they're going to move. And they're going to move according to the movement rules that we set up for them. But then the next thing we need to do is spawn it. So variable prefabs equals instantiate. Now this is how we spawn, how we make appear magically. It's called instantiation. Instantiate prefabs, this array prefabs. Then you need to do square bracket, random.range, all in capitals. 0, you always start your array at 0. That's the very first place, very first index number of your array. Comma prefabs.length, so whatever length your array is, which we can set in the inspector. Close it with the square brackets. Vector 2, x and y times 2, so this will space them out. Quaternion identity, this just inherits any rotation or anything that the prefab may have already. You don't really have to have it, but it's good programming. So save it. Come back to Unity. You need to you should have like a drop down right here. They're called prefabs. This is your array. You need to set your array size. We're setting it to 3. And then you need to drag your prefabs over to assign them. So element 1 will be invader 1. Element 1 will be invader 2. Or element 0 is invader 1. Element 1 is invader 2. Element 2 is invader 3. You can, of course, change the names of your prefabs to match your element numbers if that makes it easier for you to remember. I'll go ahead and save your project. Hit play. And you'll see that we instantiated, well, at least 2 of them. Did it not? So it didn't do invader 0. So it did 1 and 2. So let's take a look again. Something didn't. Invader 1. Is which guy? Invader 1 is a green one, so that's the one it didn't instantiate. So it didn't instantiate invader element 0. Let's take a look at our script again. Prefabs, random range 0, prefabs.length. Yeah, I mean, it should have. You can make it, could be just a thing with our, that could just be a thing with our array. So if you make the size 4, and then just stick that invader 1 as element 3. This might work now. Yeah, okay, that works better. So it looks like with the array, it's never going to instantiate that element 0, or it's rarely going to do it. Go ahead and you can add a 4th element if you want. You should see them just beeping and blooping. Doop, 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 doop. Okay, so we got that movement. That's good, that's awesome, that's excellent, that's what we want. The next thing we need to do is set up our bullet. So we've got our bullet object here. Let's add a box collider to our bullet object so that we actually have a thing to hit other things. Probably going to need to add a rigid body to it as well. Again, you're going to want to change your gravity scale to 0, change your fixed angle to 1, You can just change your drag to 0. It's not so important that it actually react to physics. We just want the rigid body to react to the colliders. And the easiest way to do that is to just have these two set up appropriately. Although, you know what, we're not really inheriting any. Take it off for now, actually. Just take it off for now. We'll look at the bullet script and then decide if we need it. Yes. Okay, so add this part onto the end of your bullet script. So function on collision enter 2D, other collision 2D. If the other collider.tag is the top wall, destroy this game object. So it's going to destroy the bullet if it hits another collider called top wall. Since we have a collider, wall T, and it's been tagged top wall, it destroys itself, which is what we want to happen. The other thing that we need to do that is not working, let's go change this one also to on collision enter 2D, other collision 2D, if other collider.tag is the enemy, destroy other game object. Okay. Then we need to go to our enemies, make them not triggers. Save. Type bullet is already a definition for on collision enter 2D. Oh yes, you're right. So actually, grab all this stuff, and we'll just make 2 if statements within each other. Okay, so now we've got these 2 if statements. Unity will do its thing, and it will think about it. So these should all be within the same if statement for the function on collision enter 2D. And that should destroy. Okay, everything works now. So now we have bullet being destroyed. The only thing that's kind of goofy is that our bullets are sort of instantiating right in the center instead of sort of at the gun part of our player, but that's actually easy to fix. You just go to your player script, find where we are instantiating prefab bullet. So transform position dot y plus 1. Try that. It doesn't like that. Oh, you know what? You could set up a variable for that to just pop that variable in there. So we'll go mod position. Actually, let's call it bullet position. Bullet position variable bullet position is equal to, let's see, is equal to transform dot position y plus 1. Oops. Okay, it doesn't like that. For now, don't worry about it. Just make it transform position. Maybe we'll deal with it later. Next week we'll deal with moving that around so that it's shooting from the neck and not necessarily the center of the object. Okay. Now you've got your first Invaders clone, and which you can mod and play to your heart's content. All right, so next week we're going to add more levels. We'll add a game over screen and a bunch of other stuff. So get this done for this week. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. Otherwise, good luck and have fun.